What's such a boy for another reaction? In today's video, we have the Lane Kiffin drama by Matt B. Great. What's going on with my coach? Dead homies, nigga. This is my coach, LSU fan. What's going on with my coach?
Well, what Kiffin just did and said, it doesn't shock me to the slightest. This is who he is. I understand there may be a few people out there who don't want
Huh. Wait, in this man.
their kids going to Ole Miss or yet again, not just Ole Miss, but Oxford for obvious reasons. I'm not here to argue that. What I am arguing and what I'm just scoffing at, that Kiffin is using that as a crutch to justify his decision to leave. That's what I'm upset about. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great start to your week. Hope all of you having a great Monday. If not, I hope this video can make it a little bit better. And
So Lane Kiffin said the reason why he left Ole Miss is because dumb niggas don't want to distance themselves from the Confederate flag. What? Gang, why y'all don't be honest, gang? You left Ole Miss because LSU offered you like $80 million. We threw $80 million at you. Just be honest, bro.
And no, man, guess who's back in the news? The man, the myth, the legend himself. That is, according to himself, the Kiffinator. Clap it up. Clap it up for the Kiffinator. Yeah. By the way, to clarify, I was not clapping with my hands there, but yeah, getting back on track here. Lane Kiffin, shaking my head. What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? Before we get into the Kiffin news, let me address this. The past couple of days, I've had a few people tweet at me saying, yo, Matt, what's going on with the channel? What's up with the lack of videos? And I gotta tell you guys, I never want to force content, and the bottom line is there hasn't been anything going on. It's been pretty quiet in the college football world, the NFL world, just sports in general, but that's typical around this time of the year. And I feel like
you gotta make videos on the Real Madrid shit, keeping up with the Madrid stirs.
Kiffin probably noticed that, and
Make some videos on the NBA playoffs or something.
he's like, you know what? Let's spice things up a little bit. Let's get some people talking. And it worked, because here we are. I had about 5 to 6 of you guys send this to me saying, yo, Matt, you got to make a video on it, and here we are. By the way, if you're not following the Twitter, feel free to do so, and it's really beneficial for you because we give updates over there on the channel and all that nice stuff. Same thing goes here. If you're not following the YouTube channel, I have no idea what you're doing. Feel free to subscribe. We are on the push for 400,000 subscribers. If you're anything like myself and you like football content and you want updates on college football, NFL, anything of that nature in the offseason, I feel like you enjoy your time here and you'd like to be a part of our community. Let's get straight into this, though. I need to give you a little bit of context, not too much, because I don't want to spend 10 minutes talking about it. We talked about it so much last year. Kiffin, he winds up deciding in controversial fashion, I'm going to leave Ole Miss. I know I want to stick it out there, but they're giving me this ultimatum. I got to leave, and I'm going to LSU. That's where he's at. He's the head coach for the Tigers. Go Tigers, shout out to Ed Ogeron. Yes, it was a chaotic decision. It was a chaotic time. I just don't want to get into it too much. Y'all know how I feel about it. Like him, hate him, it doesn't matter. He's at LSU. He's living his best life. They gave him, what was it? I can't remember. I'm not going to look it up. But they gave him a bunch of money on, I think it was 80, 90 million. Maybe it was up to 100 million. He's got all this money, and he's the head coach of one of the premier brands in all college football. LSU is a fantastic job. 5-star recruits are all in that state. Nick Saban's won a title there. There's a lot of history there. I know they haven't been too hot recently, but let's not forget LSU.
They didn't make the fucking playoffs since 2019, bro. Like, you can't even make the playoffs, man.
Boys can play. And although Ole Miss had the better team last year, overall, tick for tack, LSU is the much better job, long-term wise, and it's not even close in my opinion, especially when it comes to the NIL department and resources. I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I don't blame Kiffin for doing what he did, not even to the slightest. And here's how it's been. When did he take this job? Has it been 4 months now? I think it's either 4 or 5 months. Ever since he's taken that job, Ole Miss fans, they've hated Kiffin, rightfully so, and LSU fans, they love Kiffin. They're ecstatic about it. They're excited. Also rightfully so. There's a lot to be excited.
Kiffin a good coach. He's just this quarterback. I don't know about Sam Levitt, my nigga. I don't know about this nigga Sam Levitt, bro.
About. You're bringing in a head coach who turned around Ole Miss and got them to the playoffs. Let's not act like Ole Miss was in a situation like Georgia was when Kirby Smart got there, or even Alabama when Nick Saban got there. Remember, guys, Alabama won multiple championships before Saban got there. And Georgia, I know they didn't have championships like they have now, but Georgia with Mark Richt was winning 10 games every single year before Smart got there. Ole Miss has never been historically that great of a team. And Kiffin, he turned them into one, so you got to give him some credit and respect. I know Kiffin is the goofiest of goobers. He is the corniest of cornballs. But you got to give him just a wee bit of respect, and I've always done that. I like Kiffin. I call him a goofy goober. I stand by that statement, but it doesn't mean I don't like him. Heck, sometimes I can be a goofy goober, and so can some of my best friends. But Kiffin's just too much of a goober. It's to the point where he's getting into that weirdo status. I'm not going to get into this too much. It's just to give you an idea of what I'm referring to. 3 weeks ago on Twitter, randomly, keep in mind, we are in the midst of the offseason, he posted this. It was a picture on Twitter that says, imagine how boring your life would be if you didn't have me to annoy you. He posts that, and then he adds Tennessee and Ole Miss football and says,
Dang, what? Dang, you're 40. Dang, you're 52.
think about this for a second. If any of you follow Lane Kiffin, or hey, I don't even follow him, I just have people
This the type shit like Elon must be posting. Like,
send this to me, or you're on Twitter. You've seen him do weirdo stuff like this all the time. It happens once a month. I don't wind up quote tweeting and saying 50-year-old posting stuff like a high schooler. That's exactly what he does. He posts cringy stuff like a middle schooler does, or a high schooler. I can't dumb it down anymore than this. All in all, Kiffin is just a weird dude. So weird. I know what you're sitting there saying. Well, Matt, okay, whatever, dude. Why are you sharing that with me? What does it have to do with anything involving this situation? That's a great question, Ricky and Bobby. It has everything to do with this situation. It leads me to my next topic perfectly. With what Kiffin just did and said, it doesn't shock me to the slightest. This is who he is. He loves, I'm talking about loves, he adores, he craves attention like a middle schooler and a high schooler. But to go on top of that, not only does he love attention, he
chill, Matt. It's the off season. He bored in the bitch 5.
tries to manipulate the public, and he wants everyone to like him, and he wants to say what he thinks people want to hear, but he doesn't actually mean it. What have we been talking about? Kiffin, ever since he has taken the job at LSU, has been getting a ton of backlash for leaving Ole Miss. He doesn't like that because he's a people pleaser. He wants people to like him. So now, in a recent interview, he is trying to spin this, what I'm going to label as, false narrative. I'm going to read this off word for word because I don't want anything to be taken out of context. I'm reading this off word for word. In explaining his decision to leave Ole Miss for LSU, Lane Kiffin seems willing to invoke Ole Miss's struggle to distance itself from symbols like the, can I even say that stuff on YouTube? I have no idea. You're going to read right here the flag, the rebel, and the nickname Ole Miss itself. Well, I don't know why I wouldn't be able to say it, but you get the point. When he was coaching there, Kiffin says top recruits would tell him, quote unquote, hey coach, we really like you, but my grandparents aren't letting me move to Oxford, Mississippi. That doesn't come up when you say Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Parents were sitting here this weekend saying that campus's diversity feels so great, quote unquote. It feels like there's no segregation. Obviously, this is my first time seeing that, preparing for this video, but my immediate reaction when I read that I was going, what in the F-U-C, you know what I'm saying, what in the world are you talking about? We are in the big...
What is you? Yeah. When he was coaching there, Kiffin said top recruits would tell him, hey, coach, we really like you, but my grandparents are letting me move to Oxford, Mississippi. That doesn't come up when you say Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Parents were sitting here this weekend saying the campus diversity feels so great. It feels like there's no segregation. When you think of Mississippi, you probably do think of racist white niggas. You probably do. The recruits probably got some type of a point.
2026, and we got Kiffin playing a racism card comparing Mississippi to Louisiana? Are we for real? Here's my 2 cents on that.
Niggas feel safe at Baton Rouge because there's a bunch of niggas.
I never like talking about situations I feel misinformed on, but this one I do feel informed on. You know why? Because Mississippi is a neighboring state of mine. I grew up and currently reside in the state of Alabama. I've been to Mississippi, I don't know, at least 20 times. I played ball in Mississippi growing up. Very familiar with that state. Growing up in Alabama, I'm extremely familiar with all the HBCUs. Shout out to the HBCUs. Shout out to Alabama A&M. Shout out to Alabama State. All those schools. Those are just some of my local ones in Alabama. I believe Mississippi. Don't they got Jackson State, Alcorn State. And there's many more, but those are just some that come to my mind. Here's all I'm going to say. From my personal experience, I played on AAU basketball teams where I was the only white guy, and we traveled to Mississippi. We traveled to Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee. We traveled to Louisiana, Atlanta, Georgia. I remember playing in the Peach Jam one time. We traveled everywhere. I never once heard any of my fellow teammates, yet again, where I'm the only white guy, say, oh, I'm scared to go to Mississippi. I never heard that. Never heard him say I'm scared to go to Mississippi. And I understand somebody may have a rebuttal of, and I'm prepared for it. Well, Matt, Ole Miss, or not Ole Miss, my apologies, Oxford, Mississippi, that's more of a preppier part of the state. Okay, well, here's my counter rebuttal to that. Among current Southeastern Conference schools, the highest percentage and or largest numbers of black / African American students are generally at number 1. University of Mississippi, a.k.a. Ole Miss. Here's your percentage. Ole Miss is leading it 16 to 18%. Look, I'm going to keep it a Fortnite V-Buck with all of you watching this video. You've probably noticed, in the history of the channel, I do not talk about race, and I do not talk about politics. That's not what we're about. We like to talk about sports. I like watching sports. I like playing sports. I like working out. I like hanging out with my friends. I like cooking food. Very simple man. So I will leave you with this. We got Kiffin using a race bait excuse for one purpose and one.
Gang, all you had to say, gang. LSU was a job I couldn't. You know what I'm saying? A job I couldn't. That money they had on the table, I couldn't ignore it. You know what I'm saying?
One purpose only. And you should know before I even say it. He's doing this, or he's saying this, to make himself look better. That's it. It's embarrassing. It really is. Because you're trying to justify it to everyone else out there, when I would respect you and everyone else would respect you way more if you came out and said this. It's rather simple. And tell me I'm wrong in the comment section. Tell me I'm wrong. If he from day one just came out and said, you know what, guys? I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm going to keep it a Fortnite V-Buck like old Maddie B. Great says. I took the LSU job because I think we're going to be better in the long run, and they're giving me way more money. If it just came out,
that's all you had to say.
Being honest, because that's what it is, nobody have a problem with it. Well, Ole Miss fans would at the beginning, but you get my point. I'm talking about the rest of the media and just everyone else out there. But instead of doing that, here we are 5 months later, and you're still trying to justify by not telling the truth, and you're race baiting people. It's like, what are we doing? Here's the last thing I'm going to say on this video. I understand there may be a few people out there who don't want their kids going to Ole Miss or yet again, not just Ole Miss, but Oxford for obvious reasons. I'm not here to argue that. What I am arguing and what I am just scoffing at, that Kiffin is using that as a crutch to justify his decision to leave. That's what I'm upset about. Many more things I could say went up here. Let me know your thoughts down below. But well, what Kiffin just...
Yeah, make sure to come subscribe and I'm going to do this. Bro chatting for real.